Craziest thing I've had is I think I mentioned to you earlier is the green ants, the native green
Wow.
ant. It's just about getting those ants in your mouth and then enjoying the flavor.
You don't tell me they are ants. I'll probably say, oh,
Yeah, maybe,
it's
yeah.
got a really
But they look
citrusy
like
flavor.
They
Yeah.
also do a gin in Australia out of these green ants. So that's very
green
cool.
ant
Green
gin.
ants. One thing I can tell you that you will never go thirsty in Queensland.
Why not pick up a different aspect of Queensland?
So let's do food and drinks. I did eat a kangaroo steak. You go and obviously see the crocodiles and stuff. There's crocodile on the menu.
I have tasted kangaroo and crocodile.
Yeah.
I think we need to repeat that trip, pick up a few more local
Absolutely.
ingredients and kind of see whatever comes out of it, right?
I'm so glad we've not run out of things to talk about.
Hello and welcome to Travel Explore Celebrate Live. As usual, I'm Sunila with all of you, and I'm so excited today because, as you can see, we are in this special setup. We are right here at the Veena World office, and we thought today's episode is really special. We have a very special guest as well, and that's why we thought let's mix up things a little bit and let's try something new. So here we are. Today, joining me is the Director for India for Tourism and Events Queensland, Raina Sequeira. Raina, welcome to Travel Explore Celebrate Live.
Thank you so much, Sunila. I'm so excited to be here today. It's our third podcast recording
Yes.
together, and I'm so glad we've not run out of things to talk about, and hope we have a lot more.
Yes, we really are looking forward. And we thought, Raina, we've spoken of Queensland before. It's not something new. And we thought, why not pick up a different aspect of Queensland, something that is really getting popular with especially the younger generation and the older generation too, or anyone traveling, who's going on travel. It's becoming a very, very important aspect of travel itself. We've not run out of things to say about Queensland, and I think we never will, because if you just think of Queensland, it's Australia's second largest state. In terms of size, if I see, it's bigger than France or even the UK, right? I mean,
Absolutely, yeah.
it's bigger than a country in Europe. So definitely there are
Yeah.
a lot of things to do. I was just checking and I saw that if you kind of start driving, because Queensland is known for its fabulous drives, and if you drive from Gold Coast all the way up to Port Douglas, it's more than 20 hours or so.
Yes.
It's insane. So I think, in a way, you're lucky that even for the next 20 years, you're not going to run out of topics
Absolutely
to talk
not.
about Queensland. So, what shall we take today, Raina?
I think let's talk about what people can't live without on their holiday, what they crave for, and what they also like to have a little fun with. So let's do food and drinks.
I must say, Raina, one of my favorite memories, like Raina has been promoting Queensland for the last 15 years or so, and I've known her ever since. And I've even traveled with her quite a few times to Queensland. And one of my favorite memories, Raina, is of course the sights, like when we went up the helicopter,
Yeah,
looking over the
yeah.
reef, diving in the Great Barrier Reef. Like I was out there and I had this amazing opportunity to go scuba diving, and seeing the reef from below it's something you just have to experience. So that was stunning. We even drove there. We've done a lot of crazy things out there. But honestly, one of my favorite memories was when we were in Gold Coast and we were in an apartment and we were actually cooking and you cooked for me. So I think for me, food there in Australia was something really special. I think we need to repeat that trip, pick up a few more local
Absolutely.
ingredients and kind of see whatever comes out of it, right?
Yeah.
But food in Australia and drinks in Australia is something all of us know and all of us love. But I have a question for you right here, Raina. What really is Australian food? Is there anything like Aussie food?
That's a very interesting question. And we get that all the time
Yeah.
because everyone's like, oh, if I travel to Australia, if I travel to Queensland, where can I go and get authentic Australian food? Now, the beauty of Australia is that it's a great fusion of multicultures. So your food will always be infused with maybe a Southeast Asian flavor or an Indian flavor or a French flavor. So I mean, it caters to everything. I would call it more fusion food. But if you're looking at the traditional Australian style of eating, I would say a barbecue is
Yes.
something that every Aussie loves and probably does, every Sunday or on a weekend or on a holiday. They love to be out there doing a barbie and having a couple of beers with it. So I think that is quintessential Australian. But again, you also have, native Australian food that you can eat in terms of ingredients and different meats as well. So a steak is something that I would, obviously highly recommend if you're traveling to Australia. If you love your meats, a steak is something you should not miss when you're in Australia.
No, you're absolutely right. Because I remember when I was in Australia, and especially on the beach, you see a lot of the public barbecues.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And they're
it's
free.
amazing. You can just pack your
Yeah,
picnic basket,
exactly.
go out there,
Yeah.
and start barbecuing and have a great time. And
Absolutely.
I think going ahead as we move towards traveling and even curating itineraries for people who are traveling to Australia, I think we need to leave time out for such experiences
Absolutely,
where
yeah.
people can experience the food and do all of these different things. Actually, Raina, if you think of it, India's introduction to food, there's a good connection with Australia, and I mean fine dining food,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
MasterChef Australia was such a big hit in India that I remember I had a chance to meet the judges, and I was starstruck.
Yeah,
Like I was like a
absolutely,
fangirl. Oh my god! Like to
yeah.
meet George and Matt, and it was just amazing.
Yeah.
So, if someone's coming to Queensland, is there any MasterChef experience that they can get? Can they go to a restaurant? Of course, there are MasterChef restaurants all across Australia, like
Absolutely, yeah.
made by the contestant, made by
Yeah,
the
yeah,
finalists. So,
yeah.
and the judges too. So, is
True.
there something in Queensland?
So, just to your point on MasterChef being such a great connecting factor between India and Australia, and I think we all learned so much about food through
Yes.
MasterChef. Let's be honest, like I didn't know what half the things or the terms were when
Yeah.
you're cooking, but we all became master chefs in our own right,
Yes.
in our own kitchens. And taking that step, a little further, you have a lot of the contestants that obviously started their own restaurants or wrote books after that. And we have one such ex MasterChef contestant called Matt Sinclair,
yes.
who actually we were just having this chat yesterday whether he won because he was almost
Yes.
going to win. I remember, and he was such a great and fantastic cook. And he started a restaurant called Some Young Guys, which is in Sunshine Coast in Noosa. Again, it's more Southeast Asian, flavor influenced. So it's really, really something that obviously is this passion project. And if you are traveling to Queensland and going to Sunshine Coast, you must go and eat there. And again, like you plan your trip around these experiences, but you need to plan them in advance because restaurants like these are sold out because everyone is looking to get a table there. It's almost a bucket list experience, especially for people who are coming from out of state or out of country. So it's important to plan in advance and just make sure you get that reservation and go and experience that one bucket list experience in terms of your master chef designing that dining experience for you.
Yeah, you're right. Because I think, like just when you book the hotels, when you're deciding, I think the first thing we do is book our flights.
Absolutely.
And then we go ahead and book the hotels or the apartments and things to do.
Yeah.
And things to do, if you're interested in a MasterChef restaurant, like the top hatted restaurants of Queensland, definitely go ahead and first book that restaurant, because you may get hotels, you may get flights, but you may not get
get
the
a reservation,
reservation of your choice
exactly.
in the food, because
Exactly.
food is really important. And the best part of Australia is that the produce is so good.
Oh
Like
my God,
everything
yeah.
is so
Yeah,
good out there
yeah.
that you can do that. But Raina, there are quite a few other top hatted restaurants as well, aren't there? Like other than the MasterChef contestants.
Yes, absolutely. So obviously in Australia, you don't have the Michelin, star hotels. You have restaurants. You have the hatted restaurants, and we're very proud that we have, more than 10 hatted restaurants in Queensland. Some of the ones that I'll name that are quite popular is Palette on the Gold Coast, and that's in this beautiful place called Home of the Arts, which is not just about the restaurant, it's also a art and event center. So you can just walk through a really nice exhibition, a photo exhibition, the art gallery, and then go and have a really nice meal.
Nice.
And I was recently there, and the director told us that apparently they, based on the exhibition that's going on, they try to change the menu, alter the menu
Wow.
to kind of match what the art is, and which is
That's
very
cool.
cool, right? So
That's
they
really cool.
really think about these things. And again, when we talk about hatted restaurants, everyone just thinks fine dining. It's not always fine dining. It's like fine dining, but with a more laid back setting because you're in Queensland. Maybe it could be like a nice al fresco dining experience. So it's really like different. So it's not necessarily your, a typical restaurant setting as well when you're talking about hatted restaurants in Queensland.
But Raina, you mentioned, and you rightly mentioned, that not everything is fine dine.
Yeah.
Some things are al fresco, they're more laid back. But there's also that thing in Australia about food markets, street
Yeah,
food,
yeah.
just walking around, being so casual. I think one of the things I love about Australia, I think the minute you land, is you just relax. Like there is
Absolutely.
absolutely no stress
Yeah.
in the country, and
Yeah.
you see people. Like I remember, I was there on a weekday, and I think at about 5 o'clock, I saw a lot of people, like walking with their surfboards and other things. And they said, no, it's a great day today. Like, let's leave office early and go
Yeah.
surfboarding. And
Yeah.
I thought, what a great lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I think that reflects into the tourism offerings that you see in
Yes,
the state.
absolutely.
So if I want to go out and have a great time in the evening, because probably I'll go out in the morning and do a few
Yeah,
other
yeah.
activities or things to do there.
Yeah.
And I want to have a great time in the evening, just walk around, just taste different food. Where would I go? Like, where would I go for street food?
Okay. So, of course, the street food culture is not like us in India, where at every corner you will probably find a local food stand or, that kind of culture. You have quite organized street food places. So, you have experiences like Eat Street Markets, which is very, very popular, and it happens every weekend. So, it's not like a festival. It's basically like it's an ongoing every weekend experience that your clients can obviously go there. It's massive. It's got 180 shipping containers that have been converted into food stalls, and from all kinds of cuisines across the world. You have, you name it. It's including Indian. And if you're vegetarian, you're vegan, you love your meats, everything. It caters to everyone. And the highlight on that is the dessert bar. Oh my God, they have like a section, and probably, I don't know, more than 50 containers of just dessert.
Oh my God.
Oh, and it's the most Instagrammable place to also eat. And it's really economical. So you pay a very economical fee to like just get a ticket in, and you go and enjoy yourself and, spend a couple of hours like Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays there. Like it's really nice. So yeah.
Sounds
And that's
really
street
good.
food. Yeah.
Yeah, and you get a choice and a variety of
Yeah.
cuisines to try. And I think even though Australia is geographically, we can say, at one corner of the world, the way things have evolved is that you can taste so many different cuisines, especially Asian, and that kind of goes really well with Indians because we love our Indian food, we love our Asian food,
Correct.
and the spices and the herbs and other things
Yeah.
really make up some delicious, dishes in cuisine for us to try out. And Rana, when I was checking what would be the best time to go and where shall I go in Queensland, I also came across some food festivals, and I remember you telling me about it. There's something completely crazy. And when I mean crazy, it's really crazy. It's something you wouldn't ever imagine. And that is skiing on watermelons. Like, I don't know, it sounds insane. And bungee with watermelons. So
Yeah.
what is this all about? Like,
So basically, this festival is called the Chinchilla Melon Festival,
okay.
and this is in a place called Chinchilla, which is like 2.5 hours west of Brisbane. So you can drive up there. So great for a self-drive opportunity. And obviously, these are set dates, so they're happening next year now, from the 13th to the 16th of February. So you pre-plan, you pre-book, and it's basically a melon festival. So you can ski on melons. You have melon tossing. You have
Like
melon
actually
jumping.
wear melons
Yeah.
like
So if
shoes and start
yeah,
skiing or
you
something.
literally ski on a watermelon.
Wow.
Like, it's quite
Wow.
fun. And obviously, it's not just about the melons. They have entertainment. They have other food stalls. They have art and culture events. And obviously, it's a festival that comes alive. There's a parade, and the whole town comes alive. And like thousands of people travel for this, which is amazing. So if you want to do something really unique, of course, there are some unique food festivals across the world, but this is something really
Very, very
cool
crazy.
and crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And you can definitely include it in
I think
your
you should
travel.
pack one pair of really old clothes
Yeah.
that you want to throw away if
Exactly.
you're going
Yeah,
for this
yeah,
festival.
totally.
But this is in Feb. If I'm going
Yeah.
now in May or
Yeah,
June, is there
yeah.
something else that we can look forward to?
Absolutely. So, in the like coming May
Yeah.
and June, you have a festival called the Eat Local Month, which is happening in the Scenic Rim region.
Wow.
Now, this is again what I love about, of course, Queensland also is that they try to bring consumers straight up front to farmers and connect you to producers directly, and you eat literally fresh vegetables and fruits and produce that comes straight off their farm, and you meet the people who are creating that as well. So I think that's something that's from the entire month of June, so 1st to 30th of June, and that's very close and accessible from Brisbane and Gold Coast. So you don't have to travel too far. It's just an hour drive in the Scenic Rim region, and of course there's events across the month. There's food events. There's long lunches, dinners, dining experiences that obviously are ticketed events as well. So again, you need to plan in advance
Yeah.
and make sure you book those ticketed events, and otherwise just have a great time. Like just go there, have a nice meal, and come back. So yeah.
It sounds really good. And, when I was planning Australia for a few people, there were some people who were going for their romantic holidays. There were others who were multi generational families and they were looking out to go there. And they said, look, we always travel and we are seeing so many things. We want one special experience where, but we'd like for someone to plan it for us. Like, don't just leave it for us, because even like going to a restaurant,
Yeah.
each one wants to order something different, and then
Yeah,
it becomes a chaos,
yeah.
and then you're there for
Yeah.
quite some time. So is there like some package tour that someone can take? So if someone wants to celebrate something, like I remember we've done a few different experiences for our guests,
Yeah.
like we've set up riverside picnics
Yeah.
and other things like that. So I know that there is some vintage picnic that you can do
Yes.
here, and the other one that really I think it even sounds amazing. Everything in Australia is named so beautifully. You have the Scenic Rim, you have Gold Coast,
Perfect tourism
Yeah,
names.
it's like just perfect.
Yeah.
But it brings forth the essence of that place so
region.
well. So in Port Douglas, there's something called the Flames of the Forest, and even the name itself makes me want to go
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So this vintage picnic, Flames of the Forest, are these like package tours, or is there someone who can take people on a food tour? What are these things?
So, Flames of the Forest and Vintage Picnic are two very different or distinct experiences. So, Flames of the Forest is like literally a rainforest dining experience where they include an indigenous experience, and the food and the menu matches that experience. So there's obviously from the Kuku Yalanji tribe of the region. It's a very unique experience in the heart of the rainforest. Literally, you walk in a pathway lit with candles, and it's really, really beautiful. That's up in Cairns and Port Douglas, so accessible from Cairns. Like Vintage Picnic in the south, you can do it from Brisbane, Gold Coast, and Sunshine Coast, and I love it. It's like honestly my favorite thing to do. It's just a beautiful gourmet picnic, very very obviously like it says vintage. It's set up in a beautiful location, and things like this I find like in our cities is so difficult to even have that access to that location, or just have a lovely time with your family or your partner, or whoever, with your friends, and just set up beautiful gourmet meats, cheese, fruit platters, and just enjoy the spot that you're in. Like either you're by the river, or you're by the beach, or you're in a botanical garden up in Sunshine Coast. So it's a really, really unique experience. And like you said, you can do it for a milestone celebration. You can do it for just, a surprise, a surprise lunch, a surprise dinner. Like nobody will expect, you to probably say, oh, we're taking you to a restaurant, and then just lead them to this
That's amazing.
beautifully done up setup, So I think that's
Yeah,
a very
because I
unique
was seeing
thing to
that Flames of the Forest, not just for like leisure, but even for corporate
Yes,
events, and
yes. They do
other-
events,
where you
weddings.
need that special
Yeah,
venue
yeah.
for your gala night,
Correct,
or you need
correct.
something special to celebrate, and for your awards function
Yeah,
or something.
yeah,
It's
yeah, it's
fabulous. So it's
perfect.
something
Yeah,
that can
yeah,
work really well.
absolutely.
And we've been speaking about how in Australia you can taste food from all around the world. You can have a good Asian influence and other things. But Raina, there are some really special Aussie foods, and some things that are so indigenous to Australia that you can only taste it here. And when you first listen to it, you go like, oh my god, really, can I do that? But you can actually taste all of that. And then there are also the indigenous people of
Correct,
Australia,
correct.
and they have some special meals as well, right? So
Yeah.
you can have a bush experience and a bush tucker experience
Yes.
where I know one finger lime, but you
Yeah.
told me about something called lily pilly,
Yes.
which sounds so cute.
Yeah.
So what are these experiences, and have you
Yeah.
tasted some? I know I've tasted some crazy things out there, but let's have your
probably
list.
the craziest thing I've had is, I think I mentioned to you earlier, is the green ants, the native
Wow.
green ants, which
Okay.
they taste like kaffir lime, very
Okay.
citrusy, and yeah, it's an experience. Honestly, it's obviously really delicious, but it's just about getting those ants in your mouth and then enjoying the flavor.
I think if you tell me, you don't tell me they are ants, I'll probably say, oh,
Yeah, maybe.
it's
Yeah,
got a really
but they look
citrusy
like
flavor. But
ants,
yeah,
and they
yeah.
also do a gin in Australia out of these green ants. So that's
A
very
green
cool.
and
Green ants,
gin. So
yeah.
they literally infuse the gin with
Yes,
ants.
yeah, literally to give it that citrusy flavor, and yeah, it's very cool, and it actually is quite tasty. Then I think the on my first trip, I remember with Queensland, I did eat kangaroo, a kangaroo steak, and that was an experience. It was delicious, but it's a bit more chewy than
Chewy.
a normal regular steak, and but yeah, so kangaroo, you can eat emu, crocodile.
Crocodile,
I remember
yes.
having a crocodile
Yes.
teriyaki. And especially in places like Hartley's Crocodile Adventures, where you go and obviously see the crocodiles and stuff. There's crocodile on the menu. There's these foods are also on fine dining restaurant menus like Ochre up in Cairns. You can eat indigenous food inspired menus. So yeah, it's there are actual restaurants that do these very normally.
Yeah, I have tasted kangaroo and crocodile.
Yes.
I mean, I think it's nice to taste them. It's
Yeah.
different and it's something really local to the
Yeah.
area. So you
True.
should definitely try it out when you go there if you do eat meat. But even for the vegetarians and even for other people, there are loads of options. So I remember during the pandemic, Tourism Australia had sent us these beautiful packets
Yes.
which had herbs and spices
Yeah.
which were actually indigenous to the region, which was amazing. So
Yeah.
I remember there was some lime, there was wattle
Finger
seed,
limes, wattle
finger
seed.
lime,
Yeah.
lily
Yeah.
pilly,
Yeah.
and then there's something called dukka, right? So what
Dukkha.
is
Oh, I
dukka?
love dukkha. It's basically like a mix of like a powder mix of different herbs,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like a dip. So you eat it with bread. You dip it in a bit of olive oil and dip it in dukkha, and you have
Oh,
it. So it's
nice.
really nice. You can put it on just bread and eat it that way. Yeah. So it's actually something that you should definitely bring back when you're traveling to Australia and to Queensland as well. Like dukkha is really yum.
I think we've laid out this whole platter of things to try
Yeah.
and to do and different food to eat there. And definitely this has to be important because I've seen the younger generation. The minute you tell them we are going somewhere, be it any destination, they
Yeah.
start planning breakfast, lunches, dinners,
Absolutely.
which is the special lunch, which is the special dinner, what
Yeah.
food to
Yeah.
try.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important because it brings about the culture of that place as well, right? But food without drinks cannot
Yes.
happen. So let's come to the drinks now. You did
Yeah.
mention the ant gin, and I think when I was in Australia, I actually did gin tasting, and that was fabulous because they showed us the whole process of how the gin is
Yeah,
made, how the
yeah.
flowers are infused, and the after the infusion and how alcohol is added and what is done, and how do you recognize different
Yeah,
types of
yeah.
gin, and so fragrant. So I can't wait to try the engine. But what else can you do? Like what other things are really popular, and especially in Queensland?
Yeah. So, one thing I can tell you that you'll never go thirsty in Queensland. There's always a drink at every corner. But like obviously, in terms of beer, we are the craft, beer capital of Australia. So Brisbane is actually, and the most popular beer is 4X beer, which I'm sure you've seen at any bar in Brisbane, in Australia. You will find a 4X beer. But the good thing is that you can actually go behind the scenes at the brewery and learn about how the beer is made and do a beer tasting. And
Nice.
obviously we have probably more lighter beers, but there are so many different grades
Yeah,
in beers in
yeah,
terms of bitterness as
yeah.
well, and you learn a lot about beer making also. So there are a lot of these microbreweries that are coming up after, of course, 4X is a big brewery, but like there's lots of microbreweries coming up in Brisbane and Gold Coast, especially. There's the Burley Brewing Company, there's a Balter Brewing Company as well, and then you have in Sunshine Coast there's a brewery called Brouhaha. Up in Cairns there's Hemingways. So there are lots of breweries. So beer is definitely, I would say Queensland is the beer capital of Australia. But now there's also a culture for gin. Gin has become the next thing for everyone, especially we love our gin cocktails, so we know a lot about it. But gin, vodka, whiskey tasting has become very popular as well, and liqueurs. So and not to forget wine. like
Yeah, of
compared
course.
to the rest of Australia, I would say
Wine
Queensland is still to
production
catch
is.
up in terms of the wine quality, but we do have some really good wine producing regions like the Granite Belt because they have more cooler climate compared to the rest of tropical Queensland. But yeah, so it's picking up. The wine culture is also picking up. We have a lot of boutique wineries, and in terms of up in Mount Tambourine, you have O'Reilly's
Yeah.
Kanangra Vineyard, which is very popular.
And that's very close to Gold Coast,
Yes,
isn't
that
it?
is
So when
all
you're
Gold
staying in
Coast.
Gold
Yeah,
Coast, you can just
exactly.
take a day up and go to Mount
Absolutely.
Tambourine
Yeah,
and
yeah.
visit a winery. I mean,
And you
you can
do.
go on the beach in one day and up in the
Exactly.
mountains on the
Yeah.
other. Yeah.
And when you do hot air ballooning, you go there for your
Yes.
breakfast. So
Yes,
you
of
can do a
course.
nice,
Yeah.
obviously the breakfast, and you taste the wine, and
Mm.
then you can do a nice picnic there as well if you want, and wine tasting and stuff. And you can actually also stay on a winery in Brisbane called Sirome, Sanctuary by Sirome. So Sirome is the winery and the vineyard, and you can actually stay there, have a beautiful dining experiences where you match your wines with your meal, and stay overnight in the glamping experience. So it's very cool. So there's lots of different ways to experience it. It's not just about the drinking.
Then
It's
there's then I think one thing we should
yeah.
mention here is like self-driving in Australia
Yeah.
is really popular, and especially in Queensland. You have all the amazing, the whole coastal roads, the Pacific Roadway,
Yeah.
and you are driving. So if you're going to be doing any of the tastings, then make sure that you're not driving after that.
Yes, absolutely.
That
Yeah,
would be really
correct.
important and a
Yeah.
good point to remember. So if you have an option where you can stay in one of
Yeah,
these
exactly.
properties and then enjoy wine tasting, I think
That's
that's the best
perfect.
way.
That's the best
So
combination.
just
Yeah.
or join a tour for those days and just take in a tour for that
Yeah.
part, and remember not to drive
Yeah, that's a very good
when you're
point, Sunil.
tasting. So I think that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Raina, we've spoken about food, we've spoken about drinks, and one thing I think probably we missed out is the seafood,
Yes.
because I love seafood, and the whole coast out
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
there's just so much that you can do there,
Yeah,
right? So I
yeah.
think there are one or two things that are quite specific to the region. Mud crabs or
So you
something.
have mud crabs, you have the Moreton Bay bug, which is not actually a bug. It's almost like a lobster looking,
Okay.
like fish, crayfish, and it's delicious. It's really, really nice, and a good bug with just lemon on it. A nice cooked bug with lemon is just the best thing to eat. And yeah, like you mentioned, obviously because we have such beautiful coastline, and the produce is so fresh, you can literally have amazing ocean to plate experiences there as well. There is a restaurant called it's actually not I don't know if I can call it a restaurant, but it's a boat which is stationary in a marina at
Okay.
in Cairns, and it's called Prawn Star.
Wow, the
And
name
you can
itself
have,
tells you what you're going
yeah,
to eat there.
exactly. So it's like a whole bucket of prawns fresh out of the ocean with just lemon, and you just
Can you like fish them out,
oh
or
no,
they
no, no.
do
They,
it for
they
you?
do
They
it
do
for
all
you.
the hard
Yeah,
work
yeah.
for you, right?
Fresh
Yeah.
caught prawns, and yeah, and I love the name as well. It's quite fun, and people go there, and it's a big highlight of Cairns. It's just a stationary boat and very basic, but it's such an amazing food experience. So yeah, that's another.
I think I know my shopping list when I'm going to Queensland next is going to be
Yeah.
flip flops and shorts and just being really
Yeah,
cool and going
absolutely.
out
Yeah.
and having all these experiences. But just on that topic, I remember the last time we were in Gold Coast and we were walking, and I reached this vending machine. And what was the vending machine giving out? Flip flops. I said, this can happen only in
Only in
Queensland,
Queensland.
where you go in and throw in a few coins, and
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
actually
totally.
have the vending machine dish out flip flops for you. So that's pretty amazing as well. So Raina, if you think of it, I'm thinking this episode is turning into like a master chef itself, with appetizers and main courses and
Yeah,
drinks
now we
to
have to
go
come to
with,
desserts.
and we have to come to the last
Yeah, of course.
menu on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
item, and that would be desserts. I remember the last time we went, and there was something I really enjoyed tasting, and that was lavender ice cream.
Yes.
I think the flavors were just popping out. It was just amazing.
Yeah.
But what is something that we should definitely have? Because, like, especially, even vegetarians, they may not enjoy all the seafood
Yeah.
and meat, but
Yeah.
everybody loves
Loves the
desserts.
dessert.
So
Exactly.
what are the things that we must include?
Okay, so what I would recommend is, like you mentioned, the lavender ice cream. It's very popular at a vineyard called Kurumba Vineyard, which is up in the Scenic Rim region again between Brisbane and Gold Coast. So that ice cream, there's the chocolate pudding at Greca, which is in this area called the Howard Smith Wharfs in Brisbane. There's the Daintree Ice Cream Company up in the Daintree region, accessible from Cairns again. Very popular for the ice cream. So there's so many flavors there, and that's something that you must try. And of course, each place has such a unique dessert option. Like there are lots. There's waffles to popcorn ice cream to
Wow.
you name it, and you can find the weirdest combinations. And but I would still say Eat Street has the most like I would say assortment of desserts and things like from giant candy flosses to like churros or lots of dessert options. So I think that's a place definitely to go and like fulfill all your dessert cravings.
Wow. So, I think from appetizers to
Yeah,
desserts, we've
you're
covered it
sorted.
all today and
Yeah,
everything. You're
yeah.
sorted for your next trip to Queensland for sure. Is there anything we've missed, do you think?
I think one thing I missed talking about was our rum.
Oh, yes.
We have like,
Bundaberg.
yeah, like
Yeah.
world famous rum, which is
Mm,
like the Bundaberg Distillery, which
mm,
is literally an institution in itself.
mhm,
That's up in the Bundaberg region. And a lot of Indians go there as well, especially, your
mm,
corporates,
mm, mm.
to learn how the distillery works. You can go behind the scenes and, obviously do rum tasting. And it is a award winning rum. And the world knows about the
Yeah,
Bundaberg rum.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I think that's something, and Indians love their rum. I think,
Yes, of
I think
course.
that's the initiation drink for all
Yes.
Indians. So yeah, so that's something that when you travel, obviously, even if it's a duty free, you must pick it up. Or if you don't make it up to Bundaberg, definitely that's something that you should bring back.
Okay, so I think the next time you go to Queensland and when
Yes,
you come back, we
I'm gonna have
definitely
a lot
have
of
to have a
bags.
cookout
Yes.
for all the Aussie items that we've
Yeah.
been listing. But tell me, so if someone's visiting there,
Yeah.
would rum be one of the things that you should bring back? Because usually we end up with souvenirs like fridge magnets and shot glasses and keychains and things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
I think bringing back some food would be a great way,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
So cheese would be a
mm,
good idea if
mhm.
you're coming back directly from Queensland. There's amazing cheese that is produced up in the Sunshine Coast, up in Gold Coast, that you can actually bring back as well. Dairy is something, that I mean they do so beautifully. Their cheeses are amazing. So that's something you can bring back. Obviously, things like dukkha
Mm,
is
yeah.
is something that you can shop for. Yeah, avocados. We didn't talk about avocados. Oh my God. One thing that you must have in Queensland is an avocado on toast for breakfast.
Oh, wow.
That is a must do. Like no matter where you
I think
go,
it's
they
turning
do it
into the
impeccably.
breakfast of India
Yeah,
slowly,
yeah, yeah.
avocado on
Exactly.
toast. So,
And
yeah.
you know what's interesting is
Uh-huh.
that Queensland exports avocados to India.
Oh,
So
wow.
avocados,
Macadamia nuts as
macadamia
well, right?
nuts,
Yeah.
exactly. Manuka honey, finger
Oh.
limes. Yeah. So there are a lot of exports, pulses as well that
So
come
till the
from
time we
Queensland.
reach Queensland, we
Yeah, you
can
might as
actually
well
go to a
have, yeah,
grocer here
and
and
ask
buy
them
some
for
authentic
Australian avocados.
Australian
Yeah,
avocados
yeah, which are
and
most likely
macadamia
coming from
nuts.
Queensland. So,
Hmm. That's perfect. Raina,
yeah.
thank you so much. This has
Thank
been
you, Sunila.
amazing. As usual, we always find things to talk about Queensland, and we can go on for the
Yes,
next
I
half an
know.
hour, but
Yeah.
we'll pick up on some other topic
Yeah,
again,
sure.
and it's always a pleasure to have you here. So we look forward to another episode on Queensland very soon.
Can't wait.
I look forward to visiting there, and I think if I can, I'm definitely going to time my trip in February, 13 to 16 February. Don't forget to ski on watermelons in the Chinchilla
Right.
Melon
Absolutely.
Festival.
I'll join
That
you.
would be great.
It's going to be
That
my
sounds
first time
like a
too.
plan.
Done.
So until then, I think it's time to say goodbye, and we will meet you again on another episode of Travel Explore Celebrate Life. Do write into us. Let us know how you found the episode. Did what else do you want to hear about? Or if you have any general comments, my email is sunila@veenaward.com, SUNILA @veenaward.com. Thank you so much and see you soon. Bye bye.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Raina.
Bye. Thank you.